Jean-Paul Sartre's Nausea, 1938, stands as a seminal work in existentialist literature, weaving a narrative that probes deeply into themes of freedom, existence, and the absurd. The novel is presented through the diary entries of Antoine Roquentin, a historian living in a fictional French town, whose reflections reveal the core of Sartre's existential philosophy. As Roquentin grapples with a pervasive sense of alienation and confronts the raw, unmediated nature of existence, Sartre challenges conventional understandings of meaning and identity. Rather than seeing life as defined by any inherent or fixed essence, Nausea proposes a radical vision of human freedom and the weighty responsibility that accompanies it. This text serves as both a literary and philosophical exploration of what it means to exist in a world devoid of preordained purpose. Philosophical foundations, existentialism, phenomenology, and literary context. Sartre's work is firmly rooted in existentialist philosophy, a tradition emphasizing the primacy of individual freedom, subjective experience, and the absence of any intrinsic meaning in life. Sartre famously asserts that man is condemned to be free, highlighting that once thrust into existence, humans bear full responsibility for their actions and choices. This existential freedom is not simply a privilege but a profound burden. Influenced by phenomenology, especially the works of Edmund Husserl and Martin Heidegger, Sartre employs an analysis of consciousness that focuses on how individuals experience their being in the world. The very sensations of alienation and nausea that Roquentin experiences reflect this phenomenological concern with the structures of lived experience. Moreover, Sartre rejects essentialist philosophies that posit a fixed human nature or transcendent source of meaning. This rejection is inspired in part by Nietzsche's declaration that God is dead, signaling the collapse of any absolute, predetermined values. Stylistically, Nausea aligns with literary modernism through its fragmented narrative and introspective tone, situating Sartre alongside contemporaries like James Joyce and Franz Kafka who explore alienation and existential dread in their own unique ways. The absurd, encountering meaninglessness in everyday objects. Central to Nausea is the concept of the absurd, which permeates Roquentin's reflections as he confronts the dissonance between humanity's quest for meaning and the indifferent, chaotic nature of reality. The absurd emerges when the world, stripped of any inherent purpose, reveals itself as incomprehensible and alienating. One of the most vivid moments in the novel occurs when Roquentin fixates on a simple root of a chestnut tree. This root, usually taken for granted, suddenly appears as something grotesquely superfluous. It exists without reason or necessity. This visceral encounter evokes a profound nausea, a physical and existential reaction to the meaningless thick force of existence. Sartre uses this to dismantle the illusion that objects or life itself possess any essential meaning, challenging readers to confront the void at the heart of being. This confrontation is not merely nihilistic, rather, it lays the groundwork for an individual to acknowledge the absence of preordained purpose and thus embrace the task of self-created meaning. Existence precedes essence, redefining human identity through choice. Perhaps the most iconic existentialist idea in Nausea is encapsulated by the phrase existence precedes essence. Sartre overturns traditional metaphysical assumptions by arguing that human beings are not born with a predefined nature or purpose. Instead, identity is formed through lived experience and conscious choice. Roquentin's abandonment of his historical research symbolizes a rejection of inherited narratives and fixed meanings. He comes to see that the frameworks he once relied upon have no intrinsic value, they are human constructs rather than truths. This insight empowers individuals to become authors of their own lives, emphasizing agency over determinism. Sartre insists that behind the surface of things, there is nothing, a void that compels humans to continuously define themselves anew. This philosophy not only liberates but also imposes the daunting responsibility of crafting a meaningful existence in a world without guarantees. Freedom and responsibility, the burden of radical choice. Freedom in Nausea is double-edged. While it opens the possibility of authentic self-creation, it also imposes an existential burden that Sartre describes as anguish or nausea itself. Roquentin's decision to abandon his prior work and instead write a novel is an act of radical freedom, an embrace of self-directed meaning. Yet this freedom is not without its price. It comes with the realization that there are no external justifications or stable guidelines to lean upon. This leads to an acute awareness of responsibility for one's actions and their consequences. Roquentin's nausea embodies the anxiety inherent in recognizing that one is suffocating under this enormous presence of freedom. Sartre's exploration here challenges readers to embrace their liberty courageously, accepting the ethical weight that it entails and rejecting any form of escapism or determinism. Alienation and authenticity, rejecting societal conformity. Throughout the novel, Roquentin experiences profound alienation, not only from society but from himself. His detached observations of others reveal a world where many live in authentic routines, governed by social conventions rather than genuine self-understanding. For instance, Roquentin's interactions with the self-taught man, who clings to intellectual dogma, exemplify the emptiness of such external validations. In contrast, Roquentin's quest for authenticity involves breaking away from these imposed roles and creating a life aligned with his own values. His desire to leave, to go somewhere where I shall be really in my place, encapsulates this yearning for an authentic existence. Sartre uses Roquentin's alienation to critique societal pressures that demand conformity, and to advocate for a personal engagement with freedom that resists these forces. Art and creativity, affirming existence amidst the absurd. Art in Nausea emerges as a vital response to the absurd condition. Roquentin's choice to write a novel represents more than mere occupation, it is an act of affirmation against the meaninglessness he perceives. Art becomes a way to channel nausea into a constructive force, transforming existential despair into creative expression. Sartre declares that the book will not be pretty, it will be necessary, emphasizing the imperative quality of artistic endeavor as a mode of confronting and transcending absurdity. Through art, individuals can find a form of self-expression that affirms their existence, providing a personal meaning in a world otherwise devoid of inherent purpose. This underscores the broader existentialist commitment to creativity as a path to authenticity and liberation. Relevance to contemporary life, embracing freedom, authenticity, and creativity. The philosophical insights of Nausea continue to resonate profoundly in everyday life. Sartre's invitation to confront the absurd challenges us to accept the absence of predetermined meaning and to actively engage in the creation of our own purpose. This rejection of external validation encourages living authentically, where one's choices and values are self-determined rather than socially imposed. Furthermore, Sartre's emphasis on freedom is a call to recognize both our capacity to shape our lives and the ethical responsibility this entails. Finally, the novel highlights the transformative potential of art and creativity as means to navigate existential uncertainty, offering a constructive outlet for grappling with life's fundamental challenges. Critiques and limitations of Nausea. Despite its philosophical power, Nausea has faced several critiques. Some argue that its intense focus on individual subjectivity overlooks the social and political dimensions that shape human existence. Simone de Beauvoir, while acknowledging the novel's profound engagement with alienation, emphasized the importance of collective action in addressing existential and societal dilemmas. Others find the novel's pervasive pessimism overwhelming, suggesting that its portrayal of alienation can be paralyzing rather than liberating. Albert Camus notably contrasts Sartre's outlook with his own, advocating for a more hopeful response to the absurd. The novel's abstract, introspective style may also present barriers to readers unfamiliar with existential philosophy. Additionally, feminist critics, including Beauvoir, have pointed out the limited representation of women in the text, highlighting broader gender issues within existentialist literature. Conclusion: the enduring legacy of Sartre's Nausea. Jean-Paul Sartre's Nausea remains a profound and challenging examination of existence, freedom, and the human condition. Through Antoine Roquentin's introspective journey, Sartre vividly illustrates the existentialist themes of alienation, authenticity, and the radical responsibility that freedom entails. While the novel's depth and intensity may invite criticism for its pessimism and narrow focus, its central message endures: in a world without inherent meaning, individuals must courageously create their own purpose. By embracing creativity, individuality, and personal responsibility, Nausea offers a transformative framework for engaging with the complexities of modern life, making it a timeless contribution to philosophy and literature. Don't forget to like and subscribe if you found this overview helpful and want to stay updated on future content exploring sociology, philosophy, and social theory.